So, hello there, and welcome to the fourth episode of It's Okay Kid podcast. As promised, we've got World Champion Thai boxer Lee MacKay.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. So, welcome, Lee. So, we're going to talk through Lee's career, how he got into Thai boxing, and how he became a world champion. So, if you could just start, Lee, by telling us at the very beginning, how did you discover Muay Thai? What took you to the gym? What was the circumstances that got you there?
Of course. So obviously it's a question I get asked quite a lot. How did you start? What motivated you? All the rest of it. My go-to favourite answer is usually, I wish it was more of a harrowing story, but it really isn't that interesting. So I was young, I was 18, I believe, 18, and I was looking to go to the army. So to get fit, because I was a bit bored training myself, just weights and a bit running outside and stuff like that, I went up to a Muay Thai gym that my friend at the time knew a few people that went there. Went to a few of the classes, thought that's alright, I'll give that a bash, and just slowly, kind of organically fell in love with it. It was definitely not like a spark straight away. It was more of a slow smoulder and burn. Like, yeah, there was never like bullies that I had to overcome. It wasn't a Karate Kid-esque story, but it definitely gave me this first ever sense of, all right, there's maybe more to this than just like a fitness aspect. There's actually like something that you can really sink your teeth into, which I think a lot of people actually struggle with, is like finding something to sink their teeth into in a sense that actually maybe doesn't just challenge you in one aspect of your life, like i.e. physically, but like mentally as well. Because as you know, with like any martial art and stuff like that, it's the appeal of it is that you can't master it so easily. And it's kind of like with any skill development, with any hobby, but like for instance, weightlifting's very progressive physically. Challenging yourself mentally, you could argue here there on like weightlifting, but like it's not really. It's just chop wood, carry water, do the same number of sets, vary it up a couple of weeks here and there, and you'll slowly see progress. Whereas I think like with martial arts or any more intricate skill development work, is there's a lot more layers to it than that. So like you can go up the gym and just hit that same combination week after week, and you will get better at it. But it's how then are you going to apply that within different aspects of that sport or that hobby. So you've got amazing at this one move, but then what if they then counter it with this one, or what if they counter it with that one, and so on and so forth. And then the layers just go as deep as you want or as shallow as you want. And I think that's what probably appealed to me the most when I first started it.
That was similar to me. Full disclosure, by the way, mainly our pals. We go to the same gym. But I can remember you coming into the gym.
Yes.
Obviously, a couple of your mates used to go, and we used to train with them as well. But for me, I was the same as you. I was obviously a wee bit older, finished playing football, was looking for some fitness. But it's like you say, once you start it, Stevie Houston, big shout out to Stevie and Lloyd Cochran. They show you some moves, and you think you can fight. Being for Johnston, everybody thinks they can fight.
Everybody thinks they can fight. Everybody.
And then it was like meeting Rude and these kind of humble, lovely guys that would annihilate you, and you didn't know how they would annihilate you. So that was a kind of bug. Like, Christ, these boys were lovely, really nice to your face.
Aye.
And then they were giving you arse kicking about the gym.
It's just so fascinating getting presented with like new challenges to solve every single, not even like every single day you're up there, but like every single couple rounds you're up there. Because you're like, right, I'm getting the hand of this guy now, and then you switch out to Lloyd, JR, me, you, whatever it is, and you're like, I need to solve this one now as well. So it's like you're constantly having to develop your game, or else you get left behind. I think that's the really exciting thing about it all.
For those who don't know much about Muay Thai, what does it represent to you beyond fighting?
I think it represents a way of life, mate. A way of discipline through most of the like aspects of it all. So like, I don't know, man. Like people like to get right spiritual, don't they, about their martial arts and all that, and say, it gave me a purpose, and that, mate, at the end of the day, you're just going in a ring and flinging a few blows with another person. But for me, I mean, if you look at the way I live my life, you can't say it isn't a way of life, for me anyway. So, like, it's the easiest way to describe for that is like, at first it was just to get fit, and at first it was just to find something good and fun to challenge myself. But it has consumed most aspects of my existence to this point. So that's what it means for me at this point.
Good, mate, good. So let's talk about the challenges and obviously your climb to being a world champion. How did you handle the moments? Because they are there of doubts, fear. Maybe you couldn't be bothered because Corey Sandhagen, the UFC fighter, he's a professional fighter, and I've heard him saying he used to be driving to training, going, I don't want to do this. This is my job. It's my job. And he's like the pinnacle, and he's like that. I've definitely had them going, I don't fancy it tonight. So how do you handle that to stop you from, or keep you going and stop you from walking away?
Well, but for one, to get over the whole fear thing, like, you can't go your full life without any fear. If you are, you're going to lead a very, very boring existence. You know what I mean? So to like avoid it and avoid hardship and all that, you're just like, I think it was it Seneca or Plato or one of those colourful characters that says like, I pity the man who dies on his deathbed never having experienced hardship. Because it's true, like, if you've went your full life and you've never challenged yourself to the absolute brink, then you never really knew what your true self could achieve and potentially get out of. So it is. I feel the exact same way. Like, I'm not saying everybody has to like pick up the gloves and have a fight and see how good you can go. Yeah. But like, don't just cut. Like, people are so quick to like especially in Scotland, they're so quick to like self-criticise and self-doubt and self-this and self-that. I mean, like, you get the Americans, man, and they believe they can conquer the world, man. They're the most like passionate people you'll meet. So in terms of fear, like, don't shy away from it because it's a part of life, it's a part of the journey. And then I would then say, like, maybe fighters and even guys at the higher, lower levels and all the rest of it in between, is like, fear and excitement are usually the same feeling you get in the body. So don't treat it like a stranger, because if you were just excited to go on holiday and you're really fearful of how this fight's going to go or whatever else, if you really, really deep it, you'll actually start to realise that it is the same feeling that you're getting. And it's a very generic answer going, oh, just like, you've worked so hard for this, like, this is excitement just building itself in a different way. But it's the truest way to describe it. And then in terms of like motivating yourself when you don't want to do it, it's, unfortunately, it's just part and parcel with what comes with anything. Like, you want to get good at chess, you want to get good at sports, you want to get good at anything, you want to lose weight, you want to gain weight, there's gonna be those moments. And it's really about, like, that's when I think a goal is so important, because if you are doing anything without a very clear cut goal, it's like the book Atomic Habits talks about it. Like, so many people fail at so many, like, even with this podcast, we were talking about that. Like, you could be like, it's just, I've not got the right equipment for the podcast, and just know this and that. It's like, mate, just do it. It's all right. It's all right, man. So, like, in terms of like days that I'm not motivated, because even my wee cousin Liam, he's asking me, he's like, mate, what do you do in the days that you just don't want to do it? And I'm just like, nah, just do it. He's like, what? That doesn't make sense. That's not an answer. And I'm like, well, it is, but just do it. And he actually described it really well. He's like, I actually read a book on this, Lee, or I think it was a quote, and it was about, see if you were stranded on an island and it was just covered in grass, and you're like, all right, where's the best way to go? And then you start walking in certain directions. See, the more you walk on those paths, the more the grass gets tethered in until there's a path actually embedded in the island. And he's like, that's what you've done, Lee, for like 8 years with your training. Is like, there's been days that you don't want to go, there's been days that you did want to go, and there's here, there, and in between. And you've treaded this path for so long that it's just part of your wee island now. And you'll never really struggle to find the route easily. I was like, that's actually a good analogy, Liam. So start going to the gym and stop making excuses.
Well, you've got loads of experience in that, and I think for me personally, it is that. See, I've many a time I've been walking up that corridor in OBs, and you can smell the sweat, and you're just like, fuck that, I don't want to get in there. But once you've done it, and it's like going a run, once you've done, you don't want to go, but see, once you're out, you're enjoying it, and then once you've done it, you feel a wee bit proud. But fear and belief, I think, because I've seen loads of guys like us training for fights, and you can just tell, you can tick every box, go to every training session, but they don't believe they're going to win. So how do you deal with that? See, when because I've seen you walking to the ring, personally for me, I was shiting myself. And then that it says that they weren't shiting themselves is a liar. But I had done all the hard rounds, and John Kavanagh talks about, we've got a wee pal here, Lolly, just about to jump up. John Kavanagh talks about when he was training Conor McGregor. 1 day a week, they would have a fight sequence.
Yes.
So they would go, it was Thursday for us, we were doing that before we even knew they were doing that.
Yes.
So every Thursday, you were going in and it was a hard spar night and it was like a fight sequence. So you were used to getting those butterflies are going to have a fight. You're in your work because you're not doing it as professional, but you're in your work and you're going, fuck, I'm going to need to fight Lee tonight, solid. I'm going to need to fight JR, I'm going to need to fight this guy. And you were worried, you were thinking about it all day, right, day this, day that. It was exactly like a fight sequence. So see when you're, because it helped me that, because Lloyd and Stevie were going, see when you're walking to the ring, you'll be scared, but remember all your hard sparring, all your hard fights are in the gym. This is going to be easy. So what are you processing walking to the ring?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, mate. Like, see, you're talking about fear and stuff like that. See the Thursdays at Obies, they're notorious.
I know.
And they still are notorious. There's a few bodies that have came and went.
You should sell tickets for it.
Oh, mate, you could pay-per-view live stream that and make a fortune. I've had the hardest fights in my life in those 4 crappy pillar posts up at Obies. It's insane. So see the butterflies you get and the fear you get. Like, when you're walking to the ring, you're like, this is nothing but compared to that. And it's like, and I'm not trying to like downplay my opponents or downplay the stress of the situation.
100%.
But like, those people are never as, what's the word I'm looking for? They're never as big a figures as like you, Lloyd, Rude Boy, JR. Like, one, I look up to every one of those people who I've just mentioned. And 2, you're a lot bigger usually than my opponents. Except Rude Boy, you're still tiny, mate. They're usually a lot bigger than the guys that I'm facing. So I'm like, I've took licks off of these boys for the past 10, 8, whatever weeks it is. There's like, this guy's got nothing, man. Like, still be wary, don't be silly in the ring, but like, that's definitely always been my comfort to walking out. And then, like, I just had a fight recently, obviously. A robbery, as some would call it. And like, the lead up to the fight week, you do get these nerves, you get these butterflies and all the rest of it in between. You get the excitement, you get, finally I'm going to get show off all this hard work. But like, see if you really, really scrape it down to the raw material, it's what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen, well, if you really want to bet you could get knocked out. Never done that yet. I don't plan on it. But the worst that has ever happened for me personally is I lose. And you're like, okay, you lost. You're like, so much more worse things could happen. And see, once you actually like say that to yourself or visualize the worst possible scenario, you start to realize that it's no actually that bad. And if you do that, even when you're walking out to the ring, you're like, just go out and have fun then. What's the worst that's going to happen? And then you just tell yourself accordingly.
Good, mate. Good. So what was the moment? What was the moment your mindset shifted, and you knew you could do this or you could be a world champion? Was there a specific moment? I'll give you an example for me on you. It was quite early when you fought Blair. So for those of you who don't know, Lee had quite a shaky start to his Thai career. He lost his first few fights, and this boy Blair was up and coming. And I always remember you took the fight, and in the first round, the boy Blair looked amazing, good left high kick, and I'm going,
big boy.
Oof, I'm going fair dues, and you went for it, and it was a draw, right? So you had never get defeated. You managed to draw with this guy who was seen as like the next big thing, and then straight after it, you went, I want a rematch. I want a rematch, and I was like that. Fair dues. I says because normally people would go, I've just drew with this guy. People thought I was going to get beat. That's a feather in my cap. Here we go. You were like that straight away. I want the rematch, and I was like that. Fair dues, fair play. I knew you were serious after that. That was mine. And obviously you won the return leg. You stopped him, which was unbelievable. That was when I first noticed I was like, he's going to be somebody in this sport. But for you, what was your specific moment where you thought?
I appreciate the kind words. Definitely didn't feel like that. I mean, that was just young Lee MacKay going full steam ahead as always. The one with Blair was quite funny as well, though, because like you says, he was undefeated, and every one of his wins was via knockout. Mate, he had a left hook on him for God, man. So it was terrifying. I was just hands absolutely glued to the head for the first fight and the second fight accordingly. But when did I feel as if I could actually make it as a world champion? Probably still haven't actually felt like that, mate, if I'm honest with you.
Really?
If I'm totally honest, like, I don't really... I enjoy training and I enjoy the whole process and the challenge and all that, but like, there was never really a set moment, and there still probably hasn't been, where I've went, oh, you know what, I think I'm actually going to be one of the best in the world at this, and like, then I felt that I should act accordingly.
Yep.
Maybe that's just me trying to make sure I'm always staying humble and I'm not getting too ahead of myself and all the rest of it, but like, I think it started to click that I could beat the majority of our boys though, with the way we approach fighting, just through conversations and training with my main coach Lloyd.
Yep.
And you'll know yourself because you've trained with Lloyd, and a few, all the boys who trained under him were probably the best fighters in the UK when they were all at their peak, in my personal opinion. But it's just the way he approaches Thai boxing is so fascinating for someone who pretty much is self-taught from himself majority of his highlight career anyway. Yep. It's so interesting. Like, it combines so many styles, so many like mythologies and everything else in between. So I'm hopefully still waiting on that clicking moment when I'm going to be like, you know what, I'm going to do the best in the world. But what I did start to realise is, no matter what, I do 100% believe that I'm going to be one of the most exciting fighters on the planet. Whether that's with my losses or my wins, I definitely am never going to be a boring fighter.
Aye. And the good thing about Lloyd is, I mean, Lee looks like Lee 365 days of the year, and Lee's now the Lloyd in our gym where he beats everybody up. But Lloyd just comes straight out of work, puts his Thai gloves on, and then just goes one after one, and he's been doing it for years.
Just a wee postman.
So we touched on your last fight with Jack Kennedy. Let's go back to the first fight with Jack, because you were walking through everybody, and Jack actually was the first guy that I'd seen stand up to what you were dealing out. How do you feel the first fight went, with the adjustments you made for the second fight, and how do you feel that the second fight went?
So with the first fight, with the first fight, I actually wish there was a really good excuse for the loss, but then hang on, you're just sometimes beat by the better man on the night, and that's definitely what happened. He came in with brilliant tactics. I was with the best of game plans, the best way to describe it. I didn't slack in my training for the fight camp. Like, I approach every single fighter like they're the best I'm ever going to face, even if they're a 0-16 boy for heel zone everywhere. Like, I'm never ever underestimating somebody, so I train my little head off for every single opponent, and it's the same with Kennedy with the first time. What because I've always fought boys that have been like very highly experienced, because what a lot of people actually forget with me is I'm still under like 20 fights. I think I'm 18 fights now. Yep. Maybe 19.
I think you counted out at the gym. It was
18 or 19, which does sound like a lot, but for the length that I've been training, obviously I lost 2 years to COVID like everybody else. But I'm fighting guys, like when I was fighting the guys for the world titles, when I'm fighting the guys for the Intercontinental, the Europeans, all these guys are 30, 40 plus fights. Yep. And I mean, a fight's a fight. You have me or you. I've always seen it as like have less but high caliber opponents rather than just like churning them out every month against pure no-name Joe Blogs guys. So what Kennedy brought to the table was a high plethora of experience, and he showed that in the first fight because he's obviously studied me thoroughly and he acted accordingly, and he had a brilliant game plan. He managed to take away my best aspects, and he managed to implement his best aspects as well for that fight, and then it showed. So last year, I felt I got beat, and I knew I got beat as soon as like the final bell for the final round went. His hand got raised, and that was my fourth loss. That was my fourth ever loss. So I'd had a good wee run at that up until that point. So I was like, brilliant. I know exactly what I need to work on. I know exactly what holes I need to tighten up in the game. I know what I need to change in the corner team. I know what I need to change in like the whole camp as an aspect. Yep. So I went about that for the next year. I started wrestling extremely heavily, and it might seem like a bit counterproductive doing another sport to benefit your sport, but it might sound crazy, but there's method to the madness. Yep. In Muay Thai, there's this thing called the clinch. So it's pretty much where you're like only upper body wrestling with knees involved and elbows. So it's like the most like crappy situation you can be in, and
also the most draining,
and that's what he definitely outclassed me in the first one. So I was like, right, sound. I'm not going to get to the calibre I want to with just clinching the boys up my gym, because I don't want to sound like a bit of an egotist, but it's like a big fish, small pond sometimes up there. I've got great training partners, and I wouldn't change them for the world, but I always had Lloyd as that big fish that I could never catch, so to speak. And then once he took a back step to just take more time with his kids and stuff like that, I had to then outsource and find these bigger fish that could push me. That's when higher level started getting really, really heavily for myself. I actually trained at higher level like 9-8 months before the Kennedy fight anyway, but that's when I started, like, every session I would go there, ask them if I could then join in the wrestling at the end of the session, and me, my main training partner Callum Hobson as well, we started then doing even wrestling at the end of every striking session, wrestling sessions on the Friday, extra sessions here, extra sessions there, and it was like wrestling, clinch, and the thing is with the mythology with that is, like, you might think, well, how's wrestling going to help you clinch? But see, if you're comfortable with a fully grown man pinning you down with, like, all of his limbs, when another then grown man grabs you with only two, it's a cakewalk. Right, it's absolutely, it's laughable. You're like, oh, what, is this it?
Yeah.
So everybody is welcome to try it, but for me, that's been one of the biggest game changers, was really, really heavily going into the wrestling. And it's funny because as a Thai boxer, as soon as you start doing anything MMA related, it's like, oh, he's got the UFC. He's chopping Thai boxing. He's going for MMA. And I'm like, no. I still like Thai boxing. I enjoy jiu-jitsu. I really, really enjoy wrestling as well. But for me, it was always a means to an end, and there was a method to the madness. So that's one aspect we tightened up. The other was the corner team. The corner team for that world title defence was sloppy on my part. I was just I was like a yes man to everybody in MD who wanted to be in it. And as they say, too many chefs spoil the broth. Definitely happened that night. And God love him, my poor cornerman and my best pal, Rude Boy, was stressed out his little box that night. The sweat that he lost, I think he's probably still trying to recover from it to this day. And he was trying to shout over people. There was too much happening, and it just, you want that to be the calm amongst the storm when a fight's happening. So I tightened that up. I got set people for set tasks. We were drilling and game planning what was happening when at certain times, like the corner, like somebody would be in charge of time, ice, water, tactics, this and that. So we tightened all that up. And then I also realised that Kennedy is a pretty big laddie. He must sit in Nando's after every weigh-in for about 7 hours just to recalibrate and re-big himself up, because he's a big boy. He's got that da strength, is the best way to describe it, because he has a da, so maybe I need to start having wings as well. But that was something that I noticed. I was like, right, because everybody sees me and they see me in the tap off, and they're like, oh, you're just ripping and this and that. But I'm like, but I'm still not even the biggest guy in that ring sometimes. So then I went on a 3-month bulk. And it wasn't like a usual what fighters say when they go to say bulk, it means they just eat crap for 3 months. It was like extremely methodical, extremely minute, just slowly putting on mass over the course of these couple of months to, like, make myself bigger. And I achieved that as well. I achieved, like, the bulk up that we wanted to, and that was a tough aspect of the training, because I was having to spend like 2 hours a day on the S&C days just doing weights, like 2 hours on top of the stuff that I already do, like my 3 hours of Thai boxing, my hour and a half cycling, my running, my this, my that, and I was then having to do 2 hours of weightlifting on those days, so it was monotonous as anything. But we got there, we achieved that. So then we had a fight in December after the fight with Kennedy in August, and that was against a very, very dangerous Uruguayan guy, Ivan Vodont, who's actually doing really well in Thailand. And he just had his third knockout in a row yesterday, so he's doing pretty well. But he was Lloyd says, I don't know about him. I wouldn't have maybe signed you up with him straight after taking the Kennedy loss, because he's a tough fight. And I'm like, well, see what happens. And then we went in against him. We implemented these new strategies and game plans, and it worked wonderfully. We beat him. And then we had the rematch coming up for March. And that was like, yes, it's finally happened. It's the big, all this training for like 6 months at that point, it's going to come to fruition. And 2 weeks before that, Kennedy pulls out with an injury. He tore his MCL, or partially tore his MCL, I believe, it's a ligament in your knee. And that's when all the stoicism books definitely came in to help, because I was like, right, sorry, we'll get something, we'll sort something. And long story short, we got a last minute replacement with Flynn Shanks, another domestic Scottish boy, who was always keen to fight me, shall we say, in simple words. We went in and we beat him as well, using similar tactics to what we've been game planning for this rematch with Kennedy. And then finally, August, 2 weeks ago, comes the rematch, the anticipated redemption arc, Rocky 2, here we go. And we lose. You know what I mean? So you're like, right, what happened? What went wrong? I wish there was a set number of things that I could just say went wrong with the rematch, that like why it happened the way it happened. I sent you the fight.
Yep.
So you can have your own personal opinions about it as well. I don't know. Thai boxing is a bit of a finicky sport sometimes with the judging criteria and the scoring criteria, in my personal opinion. You've got traditional Thai scoring, you've got WBC scoring, you've got ISK scoring. What actually scores more though? And then also, how do the judges feeling that night? Do they like your style? Do they not like your style? And I don't want to say woe is me, but I've always been of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I've always had the kind of stigma of I've got a bit of an ugly style for Thai boxing, a bit of an unusual style, people like to label it, and because of that, it's maybe not always scored as highly. And by that, I mean, if you ever watch a traditional Thai boxing fight, it'll be a lot of kicks, a lot of clean techniques, and a lot of like standing off from each other and taking your time and making it look beautiful like a dance. I'm a bit more of a guy you would get at 3 in the morning outside a Paisley taxi rank, just going gun-ho. But whilst I'm doing that, I'm also scoring, and I'm also having some beautiful shots within my madness, shall we say. And apparently that wasn't enough. So I'm not here to hold sour grapes about anything like that. Yep. See, at the end of the day, mate, I sent the fight to everybody who wanted it. I even got some messages from former adversaries saying they thought otherwise and this and that. It ended up being a majority decision. So what that entails is one had it a draw and the other two had it for him by 2 rounds. So as you can tell from what I've said there, it seemed like a very, very close fight. And by the time maybe this is up or whatever, you'll be able to find it on YouTube, because it will be coming out on YouTube in the next few weeks anyway. So you can all go and take a look for yourselves. And if you all think I got done dirty, start writing to the ISKA. But see, at the end of the day, I feel like despite it being a loss, it showed my level.
Well, that's what I was sorry to cut you off. That's what I was going to jump in and say. I agree with the first fight.
Yes,
I did. I think he shaded it, and if nobody knows what Thai boxing is, the 1, 2 rounds 3, 4, and 5 are your big scorers. So you can lose 1 and 2 and still win the fight by going big 3, 4, and 5. And I think he scored well.
Oh, it's brilliant.
In the later rounds, but also to your point where you think you've not got a good style and people looking at you, you don't actually know how effective your style is until you're sparring you. So I brought a boy up from Newcastle, Liam, who you know. And I dare say these boys down south are looking at you and going, I'm clean. I'll step off him. I'll hit him with this and I'll hit him with that. And I'm like, well, no, you won't, mate, if there's 2 inches between you for the whole fight. So I think he's probably went, I need to get myself up to a certain level of fitness again, like I was at the first fight, and it'll be the same fight.
Yes.
I was stronger in the clinch, and I'll monster him in the later rounds. Personally, that's my opinion. But it's a testament to you that you know where you went wrong. So you're not just a bog standard 3 in the morning scrapper. You know, so that shows that you knew where you went wrong and you've got the ability to improve. And it's just my humble opinion as well. I thought you done to him what he done to you in the first fight. You scored better in the later rounds. Therefore, and I don't think at some points he was knackered. And it was a testament when you seen his interview, and it's not against Jack Kennedy. When you seen his interview after it, personally, I think he's like, I'm not doing that again. I'm never coming back to Scotland. It's all the stuff that your body's telling you, that wee inner critic going, fuck that, we're not coming back here. Because I think if he's honest in himself, he got away with one there. But I know you don't like to dwell in that, and it's not against that guy. But I thought you made the adjustments and you done to him what he done in the first fight. I thought you just shaded it. But I did think he shaded the first fight, so it's one of the ones.
Look, I was talking to Rude Boy. You and Macintosh, you just quite constantly keep hearing us say Rude Boy, Rude Boy, Rude Boy. It's my main cornerman and the best man at my wedding actually. Was my best pal Rude Boy, and I was talking to him about it yesterday. looking for a comfy spot,
I know.
and he was talking to me yesterday about it, and he was saying how he's like, see, at the end of the day, Lee, like, I think that fight has only actually raised your stock, and he's like, and it's such a good point because there was a lot more of a stigma around me until the Kennedy fight. Probably after the Kennedy fight, actually, last year, it was still there of like, I've been this almost like Dana White privileged guy for Scotland who just gets these titles handed to him just because I'm on a good show and they like me and they just give me all these opportunities. I don't really fight any real fighters, and I get away with murder and win all these titles accordingly.
Yep.
Which, I mean, you can have your opinion, whatever you want to have your opinion on, but it's not the case, unfortunately. Like, I've fought the who's who. I thought, like Blair, we were talking about before, like Blair was the top boy and like on up and coming in Scotland at the point, and I fought him twice.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, but Lee doesn't fight Scottish boys. I'm like, yeah, I spent half my career fighting Scottish guys. Would you want me to keep fighting Scottish guys till I'm like 34?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I need to fight these international opponents because the way I've always seen it is the more international opponents I fight and beat dominantly, the more I put Scotland on the map.
Yep.
So, yeah, like even going back to the whole Kennedy thing though, is like, it's, I don't hold anything against him. Like, he's not the one judging it.
100%.
It's
and that's that. We're not trying to get at that. We're just saying
everybody
nice can see. And then he's stepping in the ring. Like, hats off. He's a world champion in his own right. Do you know what I mean? So,
2-time now.
Yeah.
Well done, Kennedy. So. Yeah. So what Rude Boy was saying though, he's like, I just think that's even raised your stock more, Lee, because, and I was like, do you know what it is? Because to go back to that point before we went on the wee tangent there, was like, I had this almost like weird hate from like the Scottish Thai boxing community for a good wee while of like, they just didn't like me, and there'll probably still quite a good few out there who don't like me. Don't really care, to be fair. But after the two fights after Kennedy, it was like there was just a shift of like support. Like even at that fight there, when I was fighting Kennedy, at the first fight, and I know who you were, there was Scottish guys shouting for Kennedy in the first fight, despite a Scottish boy trying to defend his world title against an Englishman, which is such a strange circumstance. But hey ho, you live and you learn.
I heard them.
Oh, aye.
That's a pet peeve, by the way. Get behind the local fighters.
So on the local show as well, from local guys.
Yep.
So that rematch though, apparently the Scottish fans who were last year having different opinions were right behind me for this rematch, and they were shouting their support and all the rest of it. And I says to Rude Boy that I was quite happy with how that's happened though, and what I mean by that is organically. I haven't sucked up to MD. I've not tried to like make all these statements online. I've literally chopped wood, carry water, went about my business, and had fights accordingly. And because of that, the public perception of me has been slightly shifting. So, it's strange how different sets are. Just how the timelines can shift people's opinions so easily without you actually having a lot of input on it. So with that then, and then the Kennedy match, it's do you know, it's like we says, I think the second Kennedy match really showed where we are as a fighter and as an athlete now. We're not just this, like we were saying there, scrappy guy who got lucky with a couple knockouts against a couple international opponents. We're now on the pedigree of like an international level fighter who could take on the best that's out there in his weight category.
I agree, and I disagree with looking at you and saying you've not got an attractive style. See, when you go to these things, I've been to loads of Thai shows, I've fought in a few. What are you looking for? You're looking for somebody that's going to stand there and go toe to toe until somebody falls.
So entertains
100%. You get too many people that maybe get in there and maybe get hit with a punch and go, fucking hell, this isn't for me. And then they spend the rest of the time running around the ring or teeping and moving away. And you're going, everybody's had a few drinks. They're like, get in there, but as you come forward, you don't go back. So to me, that's what you're looking for. You touched on it there. A previous opponent's doing really well in Thailand. You're going to Thailand next Friday. So what's the expectations? What are you going over to Thailand to do?
So I am, unlike a lot of British tourists, not going over there for slightly more adulterated reasons, shall we say. I'm going over to Thailand and I'm training in Bangkok, Wararacha, I believe it's called. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it's a gym in Thailand.
Yep.
In the heart of Thailand, Bangkok, because I've been told that if you want to fight the best, train with the best, and be the best, you should go to Bangkok. You can go to Koh Samui, you can go to Phuket, you can go to all these other regions, but there'll be more of like holiday destinations with a bit of training sprinkled in, rather than in the heart of the city, in the heart of the sport, and you're just in the doghouse, so to speak. So the goal with going out there is I'm out there till January. So like Ryan was saying, I'm leaving in beginning of September and I'm out there till January, 4 months. Part of that is technically my honeymoon, although depending on when the fights come in, maybe need to adjust that, Chelsea. And majority of it, 3 months plus, is just me training and fighting out there. So we're looking to get fights out there. We're looking to establish a presence out there as well, a name. And my logic and reasoning behind that is a lot of people say they want to get to these big promotions, they want to get to these big shows, which is all well and good, but what are you actually actively doing to get yourself to that stage? And it's like we were talking about, we're starting the podcast and starting these things that you want to get better at. Yep. It's like, what are you actually actively doing in your life to get to that stage? Are you buying the right equipment? Are you getting guests booked on? Are you then traveling out to where a lot of those promotions are hosting pretty much all their shows to hopefully get picked up, hopefully get scouted, hopefully get somebody who catches your fights? If you aren't doing that, then you have no room, in my personal opinion, to complain, because you're only doing everything within your power to make what you want happen.
Yep.
So with Thailand, I don't know, mate, like, people like to go out to Thailand and they go, I'm going to get a fight out in Thailand, and they fight a mad tuk-tuk driver at like 2 in the morning on a Friday, and then they go get wrecked with their pals after it and go, I had a fight in Thailand, I smashed this wee guy. Mm-hmm. You're like, did you? You probably smashed a wee guy who just took a dive for you and all the rest of it. I don't think, unfortunately, I'll be fighting any tuk-tuk drivers in Thailand. Although if any tuk-tuk drivers do want to fight me in Thailand, then please, by all means, sign up, because it'll make my job a lot easier. But the goal is, like I was hinting in there, is to get picked up by the major promotions out there, or even get picked up by a good management agency who sees potential in me, and they could then start to organise more international fights for myself.
Brilliant. So what would a successful trip look like for you?
Yes. So a successful trip for myself is very easy to outline and navigate. It's 2 to maybe 3 fights over there when I'm, because I'm only over there for 3 and a bit months before my wife comes over. So it's going to be a bit hard to stay in fight camp when I promised her a honeymoon in the aspect of it. Because fun story quickly with the rematch with Kennedy, and Ryan already knows about this, but I got married during the Kennedy rematch fight camp. I believe it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks before my fight. So I got married on the Saturday, and then the Sunday I went straight back to training. So the Sunday morning I took my newly wedded wife to a cafe. We got some breakfast, and then I left her at that cafe. She went back to the venue, and I drove straight to Higher Level to get my heat panned in with all the boys who are like the biggest killers in the country. I then finished that, drove home, and then done house sprints. So technically I've not had a honeymoon besides getting hard sparring at Higher Level, which is an interesting honeymoon to say the least. But the idea was that we were going to go on a honeymoon at the end of the year after my Thailand trip, and that is still the plan. But to get back to your question, what would be a perfect trip for me? I mean, and if I was to win the lottery, it would be to get on RWS.
Right.
And for those that don't know, RWS and World Championship are like the UFC to Thai boxing. They're the biggest promotions that you can get, and they're the pinnacle of the sport, in my opinion. RWS, I'm more interested in than one, just because I'm a bigger fan of the athletes and I'm a bigger fan of the production, the style, and everything else in between it. Does that mean then if one were to come knocking, I would turn them away? No, I'm not that self-flagellating. I'm like, oh, I'm too good for yourselves, la la la. I'll fight MD anywhere for the right price and for the right set of circumstances. I'm not wanting to turn down anything like that. But perfect trip would be 1 to 2 fights over in Thailand, with the end goal being hopefully getting picked up by one of those promotions, or at least tickling the fancy of one of those promotions. Or, like I says, a management agency sees me and they're like, here, by the way, we could maybe, if you're interested, Lee, maybe get you like 2 or 3 fights out here yearly, where we then start to build you up towards one of those promotions. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? and then just taking it from there.
Good. Well, some of the other Scottish boys have done that as well, so
Yep.
it's not as if you're the first person to do it. There is a blueprint there.
Yes.
So
see, that's what I think a lot of people. It's so strange that a lot of people almost don't see the blueprint despite it being there. So like you've got like Rudy De Silva, Andy Miller, Chris Shaw is kind of the outlier, but like Nico and stuff like that as well, Nico Creello, is like all these Scottish guys have all been on those major promotions, okay? Yep. Where were they when they got the offer and when they fought on those major promotions? Pretty much all of them except Shawzy being the outlier, and I don't really know Nico's circumstances, but I'm pretty sure he was in Thailand. Yep. They were all in Thailand when all these events happened, and it's just proximity. Like, if you are within a bloody 3-hour train journey to the stadium that they're looking for a fighter on, you're so much more appealing than somebody who's in Scotland who's a 19-hour flight away. And it's logistics. You know yourself, mate, you're a manager and stuff like that, and like what makes the most sense is sometimes just the easy choose the path of least resistance, and sometimes that is just the easiest way to go.
And if you're there, you're available and you're ready to go.
Exactly.
And if you're training in gyms, people speak. So they'll be like, we've got a Scottish guy in here who I think will put on a good show for you.
And also the good thing about Warrior Rocha as well is they've already had fighters on RWS, One Championship, all the Rajat stadium fights as well, and like stuff like Channel 7. They've also got champion on pretty much every major stadium in Thailand. Yep. So they're a very well connected gym, is what I'm trying to say. So you can like sleep on gym flares and go out there and rough and tough it, but like just put a wee bit of this into your plan, put a wee bit of thought into your planning as well as like passion. Is the best way to describe it.
Brilliant. So being a world champion for you comes with a kind of strong identity. What's something that's important to you today that would help people understand you in a deeper level?
Something that identifies me more clearly. I think, see, if you follow me on social media and stuff like that, all you see is the crazy workouts, the food, and that's kind of it, because that's all I show.
Yep.
But a lot of it people might not understand is I'm very, very content with being alone and being myself. And I think if more people started to do that for themselves, like, you actually don't realise how better life is. And I'm not saying be a loner, get any pals, don't get a bird, all the rest of it. I'm hardly the epitome of that. What I'm saying though is, like, for instance, I was driving over here and it was a half an hour car journey. Mate, I didn't even have anything on in the car. I was just silent in the car, just driving, just thinking about the podcast, thinking about how training went this morning. And it's what I'm trying to say is be comfortable in your own head. Be comfortable with the moments of silence. That was actually something I got from one of my Stoicism books, was like enjoy and bask in the quiet moments, because they come so rarely that people don't actually, especially in today's modern age with like social media, TikToks, all the rest of it. You even see yourself, it's like you're reaching for a gun when you get a bit of boredom, you're like, and you start reaching for your phone, but it's like, I'm not saying I'm not a pure like technophobe and like don't go on social media and all the rest of it, but I'm saying like start to enjoy your own company as much as other people's, and enjoy the process, and everything else will come a lot more like fun and natural if you start to really delve deep into stuff like that.
I'm the same. I go running, the music.
It's class. It's brilliant.
And I love the sparring with you, because you're obviously the hardest sparring in the gym. So in between rounds, you end up alone, waiting for the round to start. And that voice, sometimes it can overcome you. Do you know what I mean? And overpower you. I quite like the fact, no, shut up. This is what we're doing. We're all right. Nobody's died.
Sometimes you actually verbally say that as well, though. Like, you're talking yourself down. Because that you're a perfect example. When you came back at first for the sparring, you were actually almost at the opposite end of the spectrum. You were too negative to yourself, and you were too self-critical.
Because I was so unfit. And everybody, people listening will get that as well.
But you're no unfit. Mate, like, you're 45 and you're gone toe to toe with a 27-year-old guy who's never out the gym. And you're this isn't good enough. You're like, right, come on, what standards are we holding ourselves to here? So it's stuff like that. Like I don't think people realise like how strong self-chat can be.
Yep. I agree.
If you funnel it correctly. Yep. And how strong being comfortable in your own head and in your own voice can be if used correctly.
Yep.
It's like, and I'm not saying like nobody's ever listened to a podcast again when they're in the car, but like really, if you can, spend at least 5 to 10 minutes every day just being in silence, being in your own head. whether it's walking the dog, doing the dishes, or going at a jog. Like, I think a lot of other aspects of your life will start to benefit from that. Like, people who really struggle to sleep, I get that from a lot of clients because I'm quite a big advocate for my sleep, and they're like, how do you just go to sleep straight away? And it's like, I think, see, because I'm so many parts of my day, I'm already just in my own head, no having to be constantly fed dopamine from external sources, is like, you then become your own source of dopamine. So then when you go to bed at night and you just kind of lay there and shut your eyes, you've already kind of almost been rehearsing that throughout the day with just these moments of silence. So you're used to those moments of silence, and then you can just drift off easily.
And nobody's aware of the voice in their head. Do you know what I mean? It is, because it was good that you flagged that, because I didn't notice that, and I'm normally quite, but I was like, fucking hell, he's right, because that's what I was saying, because obviously I was verbalising it, and then it's like, right, check yourself, somebody's flagged it, and then bring it back. With that being said, see, success in Muay Thai and obviously in life,
yes,
do you think it's comes from more physical ability or mental ability?
100% mental. Israel Adesanya was on a podcast once, and he says that he thinks 99% of fighting is mental, 1% is physical. I don't know if I'd go to that extreme. It's like, you can be the most mentally self-believing guy in the world. See, if you've not done a 5K in like 3 weeks, you're going to be struggling. But all mental, mate. Like, and that's with Muay Thai. That's with like applying yourself to any of these situations. Like, see, what I'll always say is, like, a cocky, badly trained fighter will beat a very well trained, self-deprecating fighter. I'd probably say 9 or 10 times out of 10. But the problem then becomes, right, and I've seen this happen all the time, is like, you get the ones who are then cocky but not that well trained, winning. But that tends to happen at the early careers because nobody's really that good at the beginning of the careers. But see, if you believe you're amazing, you'll probably end up like starching a few boys, especially early on. But see, as you progress up the rankings and progress in your career, you'll come up against guys who are just as confident as you, but they're double as trained as you, and that's when it starts to like challenge yourself. So it's everything's mental, mate. Absolutely everything. Like, even the way you apply training, like, I could easily, like, I've got a workout after this, and you can easily just go and plod the workout, or you can apply yourself mentally to it. Both situations, you're going to be doing the workout. Both situations is going to come with the same end result, the workout being finished. But how have you applied yourself mentally to the discipline? And I think that's the biggest game changer for everything, mate.
Good. Last wee bit then before we finish off. So your friend comes to you and wants to start Muay Thai. What advice do you give them?
Take it slow. Take it slow and enjoy the process. Also, don't rush into a fight, because everybody, 2 weeks, when can I fight, Lee? Wow, right. One of these ones. Enjoy the process, because like, you're never going to be as bad at this as you are right now. So bask in it, enjoy it. Like, it's probably the reason I've took to jiu-jitsu and wrestling so well, where a lot of strikers chuck it out the window after trying it for like 3 weeks, is because I actually enjoy the process of being rubbish at something. Like, I enjoy learning. I don't really like being that well versed at something that it's easy anymore. That doesn't really appeal to me. The challenge is what appeals to me. So yeah, enjoy it. Like, you're only ever going to be as bad at that as you are right now, and you like see that buzz you get constantly up the gym. You see it with some of the younger guys up the gym now. Like, they just love being up there. They're maybe not doing all the stuff they could be doing within the space of time that they're up there, but it's just because they love being there so much. It's like a second home for them, and it's really good to see stuff like that. But yeah, enjoy the process, bask in all the challenges that it presents, enjoy it.
Okay. Looking back, what are you most proud of? All the belts, everything you've done in the sport, what is it you're most proud of?
And the career as a whole.
Aye.
Right. Easy. What I'm most proud of is winning all my titles, for the most part, up to the world title anyway, whilst being a tradesman. That was always something that I wanted to show to myself and to other people, that a lot of people actually a lot of people probably don't realise this, but I was a gas fitter for, was it 3 years, 4 years, something like that, with my slave labouring uncle. And
best looking gas fitter for that amount of time.
Aye, you're a
Better
good looking
looking
guy.
Phil.
Aye, I was going to give him a shout out there, but just to annoy him, I might know. So yeah, so I was a gas fitter and labourer for the full time I've done Thai boxing, and I think a lot of young ones nowadays get mixed up where they think that you need to be a full time fighter to win anything.
Yep.
You need to be a full time fighter to win a C-class fight at the Lagoon. You're like, mate, what are you talking about? This is mental. Like, you just need to train hard, apply yourself, and just try your best. That's all you need to do. You don't need to like. You don't need to be like living off the brew and doing a Conor McGregor and all this other stuff. So what I always says to myself is I want to be a world champion whilst being a tradesman or whilst having worked the trade. And that's actually the way it ended up, because I won the world title and then 2 weeks later I started college to get my gas ticket. So I technically then switched from actually physically doing the job to studying for the ticket for the job, and then I had to get a part-time job during the time, so I started PTing, and the way PTing ended up working out, just one of life's weird circumstances, I ended up being better off PTing than I would have been actually going back to the gas sector. Don't know how that's worked out. The tax man though, I'm still I'm still paying everything.
2 sessions a day.
So that was just a weird thing, but I'm very proud of that, because that should be, if anything I want my legacy to be showing, is that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve no matter your set of circumstances. It's just about how you apply yourself accordingly.
Yep.
You just need to be smart about it. If you're working a heavy duty labouring job 8 hours a day, you can't then be doing the same amount of training that you see guys on TikTok, Instagram, and everything else in between doing. Or even another guy who works at an office 8 hours a day, you then can't do the same hours of training, the same type of intensity training that you're doing, because your body's getting burnt out differently.
Yep.
And you then need to apply it smarter. But I didn't always train the way I train, but I was always very disciplined with continuously getting the training in. And I always did say to myself, like, it was quite funny. I always say to myself, I was like, wait till people see what I can do when I'm not working a full-time labouring job.
Yep.
Like, it'll be crazy. And as the Instagram reels show,
it certainly is crazy. It certainly is crazy.
Yeah.
Because all the boys, just for clarity, all the boys in our friendship group going, look, is that his full day? Does he eat all that stuff he's eating? He's up at 5:30 in the morning. Is he actually training 4 times a day? Or is that him just? I says no, that's what he's. They don't believe you.
No, they don't.
He's doing that.
Because what was it? A few of your friends were saying like, "Oh, did he just record them throughout the week and then upload them on?" And you're like,
"No." You do 1 day, what they do in 2 weeks.
That's 24 hours, lads.
So for people listening, 6 subscribers, love yous. For the people listening who aren't fighters and want to build resilience and discipline, where's the best place to start, in your opinion?
Right up here, my friend. Right up here is the best place to start in your mind. I think. Oh, that's such a good question. So, if you're wanting to build good habits, I've read loads of books on habit building, mindset coaching, and all the rest of it. A bit like yourself, mate. I'm a bit lost in the sauce when it comes to stuff like that. You just get so down the rabbit hole with it all. But I think the best place to start is have a goal and have a purpose, and make sure you're establishing that those are 2 separate entities. Because I feel like that's where a lot of athletes, sports people, and just people who are want to achieve anything like kind of physical in general fail, is like realizing that a goal and a purpose are 2 totally different aspects, and you need to treat them accordingly because of that. So, for instance, you think winning the world title or being a world champion is your purpose in that sport and that's your goal. It's not. You're getting the 2 conjoined and confuddled, because what's going to then happen when you achieve that? You're going to be lost. You're going to do a Tyson Fury, you're going to go on a bender, and you're going to go absolutely haywire because you've achieved your life's purpose at the age of whatever it is. A purpose isn't really something you achieve, it's something you constantly strive towards. So we kind of touched on it there. My goal at this present time with this present podcast is to be a 2-time sport world champion and 2 division world champion. So I would like to be a world champion in kickboxing as well as Muay Thai, and I want to be a 2 division champion as well. Whether that's the division below, division above, I can kind of do either or, it doesn't really bother me. That's my goal and objective at this time. My purpose though, as like I said before, and we slightly touched on it, was to be one of the most exciting fighters on the planet. And I think that's a very unachievable but achievable purpose. Because how are you ever going to be the most exciting fight on the planet? It's completely debatable.
It's opinions, isn't
It's
it, really?
opinion.
Yeah.
But it's something you can work towards. And that doesn't mean that I'm never going to retire, never going to stop fighting. But that's my purpose from my fighting journey, is to be to that level. And then my goals will change. Once I achieve the two-time world, I'll then change my goal to this. And then I'll change my goal to that. Because just between me and you and everybody else listening, I don't want to be fighting when I'm 37, 38 and all the rest of it. I want to cut off, retire and have a good wee legacy behind me. I don't want to be these sad wee sacks that are like still fighting and getting knocked out after these 22-year-old guys and stuff like that. I apply myself religiously because I know there's an end goal and I know there's a finite time that you've got to do anything you want to achieve in life. So that's why I do apply myself so thoroughly in the process.
Sound. So for people starting, you would say, work on your mindset.
Above all.
Look at your purpose, look at your goals, but your purpose is something you should be striving towards, and your goals are the stuff you can do to incrementally get there.
The goals are your checklist that you can tick off as you go along. Also, as a kind of quick wee side tangent, is your sleep. So many people neglect it. It's crazy. You're hearing about guys trying to increase their testosterone, women trying to increase their estrogen, menopause, this. Oh, I'm going to start taking ashwagandha. I'm going to take lion's mane. What about if I stop drinking microplastics? And listen, you believe what you want to believe. You take what you want to take. But then I always say to my clients, I'm like, how much are you sleeping a night? What are you drinking? How much protein are you getting? But the sleep's the big one, because sleep is such a tossed aside topic. It's like, I'll get married at the weekend. And it's like, that's not how sleep works. And I could literally have a full podcast with yourself talking about sleep, but get your sleep under control. 7 to 9 hours every night. Get an eye mask, get earplugs, get a nose strip if you want, get mouth tape. Set a good sleep hygiene, and honestly, the world is your oyster.
And I think that's if people starting whatever level they're at, but see if you're nutrition, you're moving your body, and you're sleeping well. You do that for 6 months to 12 months, your life will transform.
Your life will change, mate. Totally change.
Okay, so to close off, we're going to do a couple of quick fire questions that I just thought of last night, and I thought I'd put them in. So what's one morning habit or ritual that sets you up for the day?
Oh, it's a toss-up between my double espresso and my walk with the dogs in the morning. Probably my walk with the dogs in the morning, because that's like no phone, no contact, 15 to 20 minutes, just take the mutts out, the same route we do every morning, and it's just me, myself and I, and they'll ticker up here, and it's so good. I do it in fight day, there's no a day I don't miss it.
Brilliant. And do you have a quote or a mantra that you live by?
You're asking a guy with curling quotes. Do you know, see one that, not to get too deep and not to get too philosophical about it, but obviously there's loads of good stoicism quotes. My body's covered in them, so you can tell why. But the one I like the most, and the one I've got an entire back piece dedicated to, is Memento Mori. It's, depending on how you want to translate Latin, and you can translate it whatever you want, Latin's a good language, it's a reminder that we're all going to die, and everybody's going to die. So live your life accordingly with that in mind. And it's like, it sounds pretty grim when you say it outright, but it's actually, I think it's quite beautiful when you really look at it like that, because see, to go back to like the fear of fighting and all that, like, you're going to die. Like, so why are you treating this like that this is going to be the thing that kills you? It's most likely not going to be. I mean, it could be. Life works in weird ways. But like, you're going to die at one point. Are you going to be then lying in your deathbed at the end of your old full ticker and going, I should have done this, I should have done that? Or are you going to be like, do you know what? I grabbed it by the cojones, man, and really went for it. And I think that's a great way to think about life.
Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost. Starting a podcast, starting an email chain, whatever, new job, fighting, whatever. I've got that as well tattooed, as you know.
It's great.
You're going to die. 100 years through, nobody will remember that me and you were sitting here doing a podcast.
There's got to be another name. There's got to be another name.
Yep, I like that one. So what's your comfort food you go to after your fights?
So if I win a fight, it's pizza. If I don't win a fight, it's boiled totties and boiled chicken. So I still not had my pizza after that weekend there. I do like a pizza. It's a nice wee comfort food. I like an Italians. But comfort food wise, it's got to be a stir fry. Handmade stir fry. Me and the missus just kicking it in the kitchen table, man. Nice and easy.
Yep. Well, I know you're into your books and your podcast. So what's something that's a recent one or anyone that's inspired you deeply recently?
Well, we kind of touched on it there. Oh, that's such a good question because there's so many books. We touched on it there. I would say the one that changed my life the most, and it's really neck and neck with a couple other books, but is Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. He's a leading sleep scientist in the world on like sleep research, sleep advocate, and everything else in between. If you're ever going to read a book, and if you're ever like curious on like how to get better with your health and everything, read this book. Audiobook it, read it. It is. I've read it 3 times, mate. It's one of the best books I've ever read in my life. But then to also kind of touch on that, the one that probably put me on one of the best trajectories in my life was any of Ryan Holiday's books. Yep. So you've got The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, Discipline is Destiny, Right Here, Right Now, Courage is Calling. Like to kind of broad brushstroke him, he's a stoic author. He's one of the most popular stoic authors at the moment, and he's got a very popular book called The Daily Stoic, which is like a page a day, little stoic mantras and stuff like that. And it's so fascinating. And it was like going back to my best pal, Rude Boy. He actually put me onto him, and I actually almost can't imagine how my mentality and how my life would be right at this moment if I didn't discover him as an author, because like maybe everybody's just got a different book that will hit them in that sweet spot, but his were definitely there. His were definitely the ones that changed my mentality on anger, stress management, look on life, and everything else in between. So brilliant. Yeah, definitely. Brilliant.
Last question. If you weren't a fighter, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably a miserable gas engineer, sadly.
With Phil
still. Fucking getting worse. Yeah, do you know, like, cause Muay Thai has been such a big part of my... I mean, I've done Muay Thai now for 8 years. I've done that. There's never been a day in my 20s that I've not done this sport, and majority of my late teens as well. So it's really hard to think where I would be. I think with my personality, though, it would have been hard for me just to be a happy fat tradesman who's just likes to like just go and get my morning roll and everything else in between it. I do think I'd have ended up getting, because my missus always goes on about it. She nips my head about it all the time. She's like, you don't just like dip your toe in something, you get obsessed with it. And I was like, do you know what, probably. So I'd probably be still working my trade job, but I would definitely have a hobby that I'm just completely 100% committed to.
100%. I think it'd be fitness orientated anyway, regardless.
Just anything to challenge myself. Probably doing triathlons and all that crap. You know what I
mean? Well, that's us, mate. Thanks very much.
Pleasure,
where can people get in contact with you to see your journey, going over to Thailand and all that? What platforms are you on?
So mainly Instagram and YouTube, TikTok as well. I post to all of them, but like we were kind of saying, I don't really go on my phone much. So despite me actually posting continuously on them, I'm not really on it that much. But Instagram is Lee MacKay 1 or Lee_MacKay1, and TikTok's the exact same. MacKay, MacKay. None of this MacKay, MacKay, all this stuff. It's a traditional Scottish spelling. Get it right and pronounce it right. MacKay, Lee MacKay1, and the YouTube channel's the same as well. YouTube's more of like a wee archive, all the wee vlogs and catalogues and stuff like that. But I will also be making weekly videos when I'm in Thailand, just kind of document the journey and remember the process and stuff like that. So I bought myself a wee special camera, mate, like yourself and stuff like that. So I'll be recording all the wee weekly insights I see when I'm over there and just uploading it and then having a wee laugh at it in there. But mainly Instagram, mainly TikTok.
Brilliant. Well, cheers for coming on. Like I say, I've seen your journey from start to finish. You're an inspiration for me. I use your example to everybody where Lee came from, because it's not just the chiseled Adonis you see before us. I seen him coming into the gym at the start, but also to touch on your last point, see all the young guys that are in there, they look up to you and you spend time with them and you train them, and you're the example for them as well as us now, so it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like... There was a good quote by Mike Tyson, and it's like, and he was talking to Israel Adesanya, and he's like, I'm nobody's hero. I don't want to be anybody's hero. And it's like, that's not your decision. Like you don't get to decide who looks up to you and who doesn't. So you should always kind of act accordingly with that in the back of your mind, I feel like. So like, whether you want to be a hero to somebody or no, it's not really your choice.
It's a massive testament to you, the way you're living your life. The young boys look at you and go, I want some of that. That shows you that you're doing something right.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Okay, well, that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, cheers.
Thank
Some
you.
man. Thank you.